All right, so we're here with Sasha Stair. She is a fractional CRO, speaker and author. I'm hugging you.
Aw, Jimmy.
I freaking love you.
I love you too, buddy.
So, all right, you spoke a lot on stage about how, well, first off, we got to reboot. And I mean, that's literally the name of the event. But you talked really deeply about when people fall off, how do they get back on?
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of people right now, and not just loan officers, real estate agents, and it doesn't even have to be that. It can be multiple different verticals. So I guess, pray tell, how does somebody get back up when they fall off, and maybe it's just this epic, terrible disaster? How do they get back up?
Yeah. I mean, two things. One, you've got to have a morning ritual. I said on stage, 92% of highly successful people have a solid morning ritual. So it's not just 92% of people, and it's not just a ritual, it's like solid morning routine. And that looks different for different people, right? Workout, journaling, meditating. But one of the newest things that I've learned from reading this great book that Dawn recommended, The Gap and the Gain, is that we don't spend enough time not only manifesting what we want to create, but also looking back at how much we've already accomplished and how much we've already overcome.
Yeah.
And especially when we fall out of the flow and we're in a super negative space, it is really easy to go down a rabbit hole and not actually look back and go, wow, look at how much I've done. Look at how much I've overcome.
Yeah.
And so what I recommend as part of that morning practice is really going back into, okay, how much have I already achieved, right? Really reflect back on those wins, but then also like move it forward. Think about 3 successes you're gonna have for the day. And at the end of the day, look back and see how many of them you got.
I mean, I think you're talking a lot about like depression. I mean, in the deepest sense, I mean, it's really tough to get up out of bed when you're depressed. So I guess to the person that is that, like, look, I'm depressed. It's difficult enough for me to get out of bed in the morning. I'm not gonna go do some morning ritual, work out, read 10 pages. And like to some people that just sounds impossible. Where do you start?
Well, I like time boxing, right? And so give yourself 5 minutes, right? If you wake up and you hit that snooze alarm, be like, I'm only gonna give myself 5 minutes, I'm gonna roll around, then I'm gonna force myself to get up. And then you gotta have something that will make you want to get up. So find something. Does dancing help you, right? Like movement can be really great, and like and I am terrible at dancing, but like turn on a song and like force yourself to just be like, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna dance, it's gonna shift my energy, right? Go for a walk.
Love it.
Right? If you love, like me, your cup of coffee, like that's what motivates me to get out of bed. Unfortunately, I have not taught my dogs to bring me my coffee yet. I'm still working on that. But yeah, even if it's something as simple as just getting that cup of coffee in your system, like get out of bed, have a cup of coffee.
What's a fractional CRO? I had to ask you, I'm like, what even is CRO?
CRO is Chief Revenue Officer. Different views on how you define it and how you define fractional. So I'll give you a little flavor, but my personal opinion, revenue permeates throughout an organization, right? We don't just generate it upfront on a sales cycle.
Right.
So I look at it across the entire life cycle of a customer, and there are different things that you need at different stages to really help maximize the impact and maximize the revenue generation. And then fractional, some people look at it as like truly being embedded in a team. You just aren't a full-time employee. So you have the title, you have the email address, you join all the team meetings, and you act as one, but you're not actually a full-time employee. Other people look at it a little bit different, and I do sometimes as well, which is I could be working with a startup that only needs a fraction of the fraction. And if that's the case, fine, then we focus on what that is, because I think all of these tech startups need a little different help, a little different times, and so
plus, I mean, you have a lot of experience in this. So like, how long did it take for you to learn the things that you could implement on day one that somebody that doesn't know what the heck it is, like you have to fail to learn that stuff. So I mean, how far ahead would you say somebody even goes that needs that fraction of a fraction?
Yeah. That's a really good question, because I probably could have done it a lot sooner. I just didn't choose to, but I've been working for 20 years and a little over 10 of it has been in mortgage tech. And I think what I've learned in mortgage tech has been the most impactful for this particular role, because I'm focused on mortgage still. It's my home and family now.
Right.
But I think it depends on your mindset and your personality. I think if you have the type of personality where this is just something you naturally do, you might not need 10 years or 20 years, right? You could do it in sooner time frame, and you're gonna learn even doing the fractional work. And by the way, it's kind of somewhat risk-free with a startup because they're doing the same thing. They're trying to figure it out, right?
100%. So, okay, ebbs and flows. Everybody wants to talk about the flow, but you're talking about here, sometimes you gotta be in the ebb.
Yeah, you do. You gotta process. I read a lot of Stoic material, and I love the concept of like, how do I be pragmatic? How do I put my emotions aside? But what I don't love, and I'm not saying that they propose this, I just feel a little bit different, that you got to process the emotions. Like, we're
Yeah.
human. We can't just, like I say in the presentation, you can't jump over adversity, you can't swim under
Right.
it, and you can't go around it.
Yeah.
You got to go through it.
Right.
And the only way through it is to process it.
Wow.
So process it first,
Yeah.
then you move into those activities that get you back in that state of flow.
All right, so you're in front of the world, in front of Jimmy Ryan here, Sasha. What's one last thing you'd want to deliver out to the world?
Oh man, just keep going. Just keep it. You're still alive. Like I said on stage, 2 weeks ago, I got a phone call. My stepdad got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
Right? And it's going to be a battle, and it's hard, right? And we never know when our time card's going to be up. So live every day like it's your last. Make the most of it. Crush it. Reboot. Make it happen.
Ooh, that was great.
Yeah.
Sasha Stair, everybody.
Thank you.
That was awesome.